It's officially the new year, and you know what that means. It's time for me to look into my crystal ball, to ponder my orb as it were, to key you all in on the best new board games that are coming out in 2024. So if you want to know what my most anticipated games are for this next year, then might I suggest? Hi, I'm Alex from Might I Suggest a Game, a channel devoted to helping you find your perfect board game. And today, like I mentioned before, we're going to be talking about my most anticipated games of 2024. Now, every year, this list is a little bit wonky because typically I don't have a lot of information on these games yet, so sometimes I really do have to judge these games by their cover, or at least their BGG descriptions. But that hasn't stopped me from digging deep and putting together a list of 10 new games that I'm super stoked about, and I think you will be too. Oh, and I guess I'll tell you right now, Wormspan is not on this list, mostly because I thought that was cheating. I mean, everyone's excited for Wormspan. So other than Wormspan, of course, let me know down in the comments what your most anticipated games of 2024 are. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit subscribe and that little bell button so you can get notified when I post new content. Anyways, let's get into it. Will one of my most anticipated board games of 2024 be the perfect game for you? Let's find out, shall we? Alright, this list is in no particular order, but the first one on my list is there because I've been anticipating it for a long time. It's Arcs from Leader Games. Arcs is a sci-fi, trick-taking 4X game for 2 to 4 players from Leader Games, and I'm pretty sure this has been on my list for a really long time, but that doesn't change the fact that I still do be anticipating it. Anyways, Leader Games has become synonymous with asymmetry, and I'm really excited to see how that plays into the making of this game. I mean, asymmetrical trick-taking powers? That sounds right up my alley. Also, as someone who struggles to maintain interest and complete different legacy games, I'm super excited to check out the 3-session mini campaign in Arcs to really get that legacy experience in much less time. Personally, I've been playing a lot of weird trick-taking games recently, so I'm excited to add this one to the list and see how it integrates the card play into the rest of the game. Plus, I always gotta give a shout out to the visuals. You can never really go wrong with Kyle Farron artwork. I mean, just look at it.
Oh, would you look at this?
Yeah, well...
Would you look at that?
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm always down to try anything from Leader Games, and then reserve it to be played with a very specific group of people who are down to play weird and funky games that are unlike anything else. A big kudos to Leader Games for staying unique. Anyways, I'm determined to get my hands on a copy of Arcs this year, and I'll make sure to let you all know about it as soon as I do. Anyways, number 2 on my list is Let's Go to Japan. Let's Go to Japan is a lovely set collection game about planning your dream vacation to Japan for 1 to 5 players from AEG. First things first, this game immediately made me nostalgic for my pre-pandemic trips to Japan. There really is so much to see and so much to do, and I feel like this game really embodies that. But in addition to the theme, I feel like the mechanics are also really easy to pick up, but provide some really interesting decisions that you'll have to make throughout the game. I love games that utilize multi-use cards because I really love the choices that you have to make when you're determining the value of whether you play a card now or save it for later or what use you use it for. You really have to make some tough decisions in the game about which attractions you can really afford to see and what you have the energy to see as you travel between Tokyo and Kyoto. I mean, after all, you've only got so many hours in the day. This game definitely seems like it rewards people who love efficiency puzzles, aka me, and it just has wonderful theming and artwork that not only makes me nostalgic for the things I did get to do, but also makes me want to go back so bad. Anyways, I'm really excited to try out Let's Go to Japan this year, and who knows, maybe we'll have to use it to plan our next trip back. Alright, the next one on my list is also about a place that I'd really love to go back to. It's French Quarter. French Quarter is another crunchy roll and write for 1 to 4 players from Motor City Gameworks and the minds of Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle, who brought you some amazing games like Three Sisters and Fleet the Dice game, both of which I love. And not only does this game come with a ridiculous amount of pedigree, but it also focuses on the city of New Orleans, which is hands down one of the most exciting and vibrant cities I've ever been to. In the game, you have to try to stuff in as much sightseeing as you can in 8 hours, which honestly kind of sounds like the last game we were talking about as well. Maybe this is a sign that I need to start traveling again. Anyways, you'll be scoring on different tracks for food, culture, shopping, mysticism, and of course partying, and the game looks to be just as combo-tastic, if not more than its predecessors. So I'm really excited to try this one out and totally max out the food track, because let me tell you, those char-grilled oysters in New Orleans, they'll change your life. And that's not even to mention the gumbo and the jambalaya and the beignets. Anyways, where were we? Oh, that's right, French Quarter. I'm super excited about this one, but I gotta move on before my mouth keeps watering. Alright, the next one on my list is a really interesting one called Kelp. Kelp is an asymmetric battle of wits between a shark and an octopus for 2 players only from Wonderbow games. I'm always on the lookout for good 2-player games, and this is one of the most interesting ones I've seen in a while. Each player is taking actions that are really thematic with their corresponding animals. The octopus is sneaking around and trying to play cards to disguise their location, while the shark is on the hunt, rolling dice and trying to nab the octopus before it swims away. This concept seems really interesting in and of itself, plus just look at it.
Oh, would you look at this?
Yeah, well.
Would you look at that?
Yeah.
Anyways, I love a good 2-player game, and I especially love thematic games where their mechanics are derived from their real-life counterparts. So I'm super stoked to try this one out in 2024 and maybe learn something about marine biology on the way. Alright, the next one on my list is Canopy Evergreen. Canopy Evergreen is the much anticipated sequel for the hit 2-player game Canopy, but now it plays with 1 to 4 players. This one is from Weird City Games and local Portland designer Tim Eisner, who I'm a huge fan of, so I'm always excited when he has a new game out. This game still has a bunch of the really cool mechanics from the original game, specifically the Winston drafting mechanic, where you pick up a pile of cards and if you want to pass them on, you have to add a card to it to sweeten the deal for the next person. But it also adds in a few new twists like special animal powers and personal player boards where you're building trees that are now 3D, that also have placement and building bonuses that really add to the experience without increasing the difficulty too much. And the game also keeps that amazing art from Vincent Dutrait that makes all the cards and components really pop. I got a chance to preview this game before its super successful Kickstarter campaign last year, and I was really impressed. It's got a lovely theme and it's got great components, even in the prototype, and the whole game is manufactured super sustainably, so you gotta love that. Anyways, I can't wait for you all to get your hands on Canopy Evergreen this year. It's a really good one, and I could talk about it for much longer, but we're only halfway through, so let's keep going. Alright, number 6 on my list is a beautiful new game called Wondrous Creatures. This is a worker placement, resource management game for 1 to 4 players from Bad Comet, which is a Korean publisher that I'm really keeping an eye on. This one really feels like it's in the same realm as Everdell. It's got the cute creatures, it's got the worker placement and the resource management, but there's also a few extra twists to the gameplay that I thought were really interesting. When you're placing your workers, you actually have some really difficult decisions to make, because each of your workers cover 2 different spaces on the map. Once you place your worker, you have a choice. Do I take those resources to help me play more creatures later? Or do I use those resources instead to draft creatures from the market as an investment? You'll be building a tableau with these creatures like Everdell to build an engine and really maximize the limited actions that you have in the game. These few wrinkles in the gameplay change the game just enough to make it feel both unique and familiar at the same time. Plus, I mean, the art and the components are amazing. I mean, it even has magnetic meeples. Can you believe that? That's on a whole nother level. Anyways, if you want to know more of my thoughts on this game, you can check out the preview that I did with Rado last year before their Kickstarter campaign. But regardless, just know that I'm super excited for this one to come out so more people can really see how good of a game this is. Alright, the next one up is Wild Gardens. Wild Gardens is a native foraging, pick up and deliver game for 1 to 4 players from Rose Gauntlet. First off, I want to give a shout out to the publisher Rose Gauntlet. They host a BIPOC lounge at Gen Con every year, and I spent a ton of time there last year just hanging out and recharging, and it was fantastic. So I'm stoked to be able to support them, and I'm really excited for this game that they're coming out with. Wild Gardens has a lot of things in it that I really love. First off, I'm a big fan of pick up and deliver games where you've got to gather ingredients and complete contracts in the most efficient way possible. Plus, I love these little minor engine building mechanics that they've added where you can upgrade your actions by studying at the library. Overall, I feel like this one is going to be really easy to pick up, but it also looks like it packs in a lot of really interesting decisions, especially when it comes to managing both your movement and your actions at the same time. And I've said it once, and I'll say it again, I mean, just look at it.
Oh, would you look at this?
Yeah, well.
Would you look at that?
Yeah.
Rose Gauntlet has done a fantastic job with the art and production of this one, so I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of Wild Gardens so I can tell you all about it. Alright, I must be in my chef era right now because the next one I'm really excited about is also about food. It's called Critter Kitchen. Critter Kitchen is like Ratatouille meets Top Chef. It's a research management and order fulfillment game for 1 to 5 players from Cardboard Alchemy. And if you're like me and you notice that this one looks a lot like Flamecraft, well, you'd be right. It's by the same publisher and features art from the same amazingly talented artist, Sandra Tang, to give it that signature charm that Flamecraft is known for. Despite its adorable look though, Critter Kitchen looks like it'll provide a surprising amount of strategy because of its action selection system. Each round you have to send your animal chefs to different markets to gather ingredients. But if everyone goes to the same location, then whoever has priority gets the pick of the litter, and everyone else might go home empty-handed. These sort of decisions can make a game so good as you have to pay attention to what everybody's going for in the hopes that you can really zig when they zag. Any game that rewards a contrarian move is an interesting prospect in my book, since that's the type of player I am anyways. So all of that mixed with some amazing art and production makes me super excited to check this one out and see how it stacks up to its predecessor Flamecraft. I mean, it is a tough act to follow, but I have high hopes for this one too. Oh, you thought I was done talking about food games? It feels like a trendy food theme is the new nature theme for board games in 2024, or at least for the ones that I'm excited about. I knew I shouldn't have made this list when I was hungry. So with that being said, let's talk about the second to last one on my list. It's Fromage. Fromage is a really clever cheese-making worker placement game for 1 to 4 players from Road to Infamy Games, who you may know from their hit game Canvas. I also got to preview this game on Rado's channel, so if you want to know more of my thoughts on this game, you can always check that link up there. But what you need to know is that essentially this game is like viticulture but for cheese, and it has some super interesting mechanics that really made it stand out for me. At its core, it's a worker placement game, but because certain varieties of your cheese have to age, when your workers go on the board, you might have to wait a certain amount of turns to get them back, based on the length of the aging process. It's like a simplified Zolkin sort of rondel system, and it's really clever. This little twist, coupled with some simultaneous action selection where everyone is taking their turn at the same time, make this one a nice strategic game that you can play in less than an hour. And trust me, I am always looking for games like that. Plus, I'll let you in on a little secret. There may be some promotional material in the box that I may or may not have designed. So, you know, if that doesn't convince you to check it out, then I don't know what will. Anyways, moving on to the last one on my list. Surely this one can't be food related too, right? Okay. This one's not technically about food. It's about drinks. And wine, no less. I mean, what kind of sommelier would I be if I didn't talk about Wine Cellar? Wine Cellar is a wine tasting, auction-style game for 1 to 8 players from 25th Century Games and designer Andrew Stiles, whom I met at Gen Con this last year, and I can promise you he is the perfect man for this job because he's an actual wine sommelier. I love games who are designed by people that are clearly very passionate about the subject matter, so I really look forward to see how his expertise plays into the gameplay of this one. From what I can tell, it's a really easy to pick up 20-minute card game, which I'm always looking for my collection. Plus, I just recently realized that I'm coming around on auction games. I used to kind of be only so-so on them, but after playing some great ones like Raw and Modern Art and Big Top over the last year, I think I get it now, and I'm actually really excited to try some more of them. Now, this one is a little bit cheating because it's technically not slated to come out until 2025, but you know, it's being published by 25th Century Games, who do an amazing job, and it's already got some awesome cover art from Vincent Dutray, the GOAT.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
So I have high hopes for this one, and I hope that you'll enjoy it too. Anyways, that's the list. My 10 most anticipated board games of 2024. Let me know which games I missed, or which ones you're most looking forward to down in the comments. I think 2024 is going to be a great year for games, and I can't wait to spend it playing all of them with you. Anyways, thanks to everyone who's supported this channel so far. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can keep growing this channel and keep helping you find your perfect board game. Once again, this has been a Might I Suggest a Game production, and I'm Alex, your board game sommelier, signing off.